Rivers Aid here from Dale Skidmore Second-Hand Tyres. I've come out for a couple of nights at Badgells Wood. It's the second to last week of the season. It finishes on Halloween weekend, and at the moment there's me and one, possibly two other people here, plus a couple of free people who run the place and look after it. So I'm going to have a quiet time. I got here just after 12 and checked in and a little chat, and then came up here and it started raining, so I quickly put up this tarp. I've got it up in a diamond today. I'm trying out something new. I've got my hammock with me. I've slept in it in the garden a couple of times when I first got it, and it was quite comfortable, and it was in the summer. And I never used it where we used to go in our permission that we used to have, because the trees there were quite ropey, and the ground was quite rough as well. I mean, it's a bit rough here, but the trees are a lot sturdier, and so I'm going to try that. And I've got a couple of things to try with that as well, which hopefully are going to work, because if they don't, I'm going to either be cold or on my arse. And I've bought the Lavu as well, just as a backup, and also I'll explain a bit later on when I put that up the reasons for bringing it. So I've got myself a coffee now. I'm going to chill, have a coffee and a fag, and then I shall start squaring up and putting up the hammock and that. So TTFN. I'll just give you a little pan 360 shot. It's rather nice. And when the planes have stopped going over, it's very quiet as well. But some of them planes sound quite nice. You can't actually see them because there's still a lot of canopy around. And of course at the moment we've got that red sky because of the, well, they say the Sahara dust and the clouds of smoke from Portugal. Well, that's the Lavu up. I haven't put one up for a couple of years, I think it must be, getting on that way. And I know the reason why, because they're not tent pegs, they're stone finders. The ground here is ever so flinty, and some of them are only stuck in a little bit. I think it's secured well enough. I see the pole's still a bit crooked, looking at it now from the outside, but I've got a tarp in there on the ground, and I'm going to put a blanket in there, and if I can't get on with the hammock tonight, then I shall move the stuff in there and sleep in there. There's been some discussion once again, I suppose it's that time of year, about which way out the Lavu goes. Personally, I would say it's this way, because you've got that bit there which goes over your shoulders when you wear it as a cape, rain cape. You have that over your shoulders, and if you've got two soldiers rock up to where they're going to bivvy for the night, they're not going to want to turn it inside out and have a wet inside to the tent. And likewise in the morning when they get up, if it's still raining, and they pack up, they split it down back into the individual rain capes, and they put them back on again. They're not going to want to put them on with the wet side in. So I'm pretty sure that that's the way it goes. I know what they say about the pockets. The flaps are on the inside rather than the outside. But other people have tried it in the rain and they've never had an issue. One of the reasons for bringing the Lavu along, apart from what I said about if I can't sleep in the hammock up here, then I should move into the Lavu, is because it's about this time of the month that I did my first ever overnighter. It was before I had a camera, and I think my first vid was November 2014. May have been, no, I don't think it was 2015. no, it must have been 2014, and I spent the night in some woods over near where my in-laws live, and had a great time. Didn't have a camera, like I say, so I never got to record it, but I spent the night in the lavoo, and knew that it was something worth doing. Unfortunately, it was only about less than a quarter of a mile away from the busy A road, dual carriageway, and the lorries going in and out of the port for most of the night, so you've got this constant swooshing noise, and it sort of made me wake up a few times, but I managed to find some quieter places after that. So this is a bit of an anniversary. It's somewhere around about this time. I don't have a record of when it was I did it, but it was in October, middle to end of October, because the next time I was going to go out, it absolutely lashed it down, and I ended up, rather than set up in the wet, went up the woods just up the hill from me and made myself a coffee and an introduction video. And we've got chestnuts. What I've got here is the strop from a local shop to me called Stuff, which is one of my favourite shops, and it's a loading strop or lifting strop or something. So I cut it in half and I've tied a knot in it. I've got two, and they are good and strong as to use as a tree hugger. And then, whilst I was in the local ship's Chandler's the other day, looking for some gear, I found these. They're stainless steel rings. I'm not sure what they're used for on boats, but it gave me an idea, and it's to do this. Put that onto me somehow. Save dropping it. Just like the fastenings that you find on some of the older style knapsacks. Now, how did I do it? Got to remember how I did it now. This is going to be a long film I'm going to edit. I've got it again now. I had a little practice in my workshop yesterday, so I know I could do it. So first of all, slide both the rings on, and then you go through the back, the furthest one on, like that. So that one's hanging loose, and that one, if that one wasn't there, would come off. And then you need a stick. I'm using a couple of the wedges that I did the boat with, because they were handy. Alright, and this should be locked. That's the here I go. Got myself a soft landing in case. It works. I'll have to work out how I do the rings and show you later, because I actually found there's another way of doing it. There's two ways. Certainly the way that I've done it now isn't the same way as I did it last night, I'm sure. I can't remember I've actually found the other way of doing it, but this way actually seems pretty good. Right, I might empty my pockets and get in here. I do need a pillow for them. Oh yes. That is pretty nice. I don't think it's even too low to the ground. Less far to fall if it does slip in the night. I always fall asleep quite quickly in a hammock. I had this set up in my back garden. I built a frame out of some 2x2s and a bit of a long cross member, and I had it set up all the way through the summer when I first got it. And I'd come out of the workshop in the afternoon, had a tarp over the top, and I'd sit down, lay down in the hammock and read a book, listen to the radio. Within 10 minutes I'd rock to sleep. The gentle breeze even just swings you around. It's lovely, isn't it? And I say I slept in it in the garden a couple of times, but I never took it up the woods where we went because the trees were so ropey, and I liked the Tinker tent and where we stayed up there, so I never bothered with the hammock. But today as well, another click, today as well I've got something else to add to it, which I'll show you in a bit when I've got it sort of sorted out. How'd you get out of here? Last year, maybe even the year before last now, Steve from Frog Moon Wild Camps sent me down one of his famous cricket net hammocks and some visqueen, I think it's called, which we use up the woods for camping with as a waterproof membrane on the floor of the Tinker tents. And as I say, the hammock never really got used up there. It's just not suitable for hammocks. But I come up with the idea of, instead of using one of those quilted hammock blanket things, whatever they call them, that cost a lot of money, if I used the net and another sleeping bag in it, I would have an under blanket. I can feel the difference, definitely. I can feel it on my back, it's definitely warmer. So we'll give this a try. don't know if you can hear them. There's some owls calling to each other. It's only just coming up for 20 to 7. They're going to be fooling around all night. It was right by me. Of course, as soon as I turn the camera on, he goes away. Morning YouTube. I started off last night in Hammock and ended up in the Lavu. I went to bed about 11ish. I woke up at about 3. I sort of slept fitfully through that time as well. I kept sliding down, and I think I know why. I hadn't really got the hammock levelled properly, so it was head high. I was sleeping at the left hand side, my head to the left hand as we look at it, and it's a little bit higher on that side, so I kept sliding down and got a little bit uncomfortable. So I'm going to raise up that tree hugger there today and give it another go. I've slept in it twice, I think it was. The third time I tried sleeping in the garden, I'd hurt my ankle and it was pulling on it funny, so I gave up that time as well because it hurt too much to go to sleep. But I've had many a siesta in there as well. So I'm going to give it another go tonight, and if all else fails, we shall adjourn to the old Lavu over there. The owls, I think they're tawny owls, were calling to each other for a lot of the night and disappearing and coming back again. And sometimes I think the male is the one that has the high-pitched sort of twit, and the female's got the piping, fluty sort of to-oo sort of thing. And there was a couple of free females from the sound of it, where the sound was coming from, and one or two of them were getting quite excited about something for a way. But I've had a comfortable sleep both ways really. I've had enough sleep anyway, definitely. And I'm a bit staggery as I walked across because I was half asleep, but I got in there, got sorted out, and got down for the night and woke up about 7:30. Now I've got my first brew of the day. I'm just about to sit down and enjoy that. It is still spitting with rain a little bit. I wonder if they've missed a section out of that tree there. It's just the sort of thing I need. I've raised the tree hugger at this end by about, where have we gone? Only about that much or so. And I think that's got it level now. I was sort of like going by the idea that your feet are too high, it's uncomfortable, so I left this end a little bit lower. But obviously that was a mistake because you just slide down all the time. So I've put the sleeping bags back in, got the under blanket one and the one in the... I use a pillow which is a bladder from a box of cider, a 40, 20 litres, something like that. I don't know, it's a big bag, and I inflate it, and then when I'm laying in there I can let go some of the air to get it to a comfortable inflation, and it smells of cider every time you do it as you adjust it. It's quite pleasing sort of what do you call it? I don't know, muggy smell of cider. And on Monday I went into town to go to the Chandlers, so I got those rings. I got this in a YMCA charity shop. It's a camera bag, I think, but it's sort of like padded and it's got a reflectivity sort of lining to it, so I thought that might be perfect for storing cold stuff in. I had a mistake in there. I've got the margarine in there and the butter and the milk I had in there as well. There's enough room in there for a couple of days worth of food, and if you sort of freeze some of it, that'll help keep everything fresh and it will thaw out slower. That was a £3 bargain. Going back to the tree huggers, I'm going to have to wait until I get home to explain it to you, but I'm not sure I've seen anyone do it before, but someone must have done, because I'm not going to say that it was my idea at all, but I tried working it out yesterday to show you and do it, but it took so long to faff around to get it right, so I'm going to leave it as it is, and then when I get home I shall go up to the workshop and I shall set it up and I'll master it so that I can show you. I think I'll probably put it on this video and maybe do it as a separate one as well. I'm using the brazier tonight to cook with, the old washing machine tub, because it's close, so I can move it closer to the basher and sit under there if it starts to rain. And I've got a baking tray to put on there as a hob, so I've just started that up. I don't think you can see much, but it is very misty now and sort of quite atmospheric. So all the chestnuts keep falling off the trees. Haven't heard the owls yet tonight, but I don't think it'll be long before they do come. Well, I'm halfway through packing up now. Got the tarp up still because it's raining off and on. It rained all last night. I had enough time to cook me dinner, and then it started raining, and it rained pretty much all the way through the night. I spent all night in the hammock last night, and the adjustments I've made sorted out the problem with sliding down. It was only probably about that much difference in the height, but it made a lot of difference. I woke up a few times, but that was mostly because of the rain and the chestnuts falling off the trees. They come down with quite a clatter, some of them, and one or two hit the tarp as well. But I had a nice night. I woke up about 5 o'clock this morning, and it was misty as anything. I had to make a shovel recce down to the loos, and it took me a couple of minutes to work out the way out just from here, because there's this area and a little pathway back onto the main path, and it's only a very short distance away, but I couldn't find my way onto the path for a couple of attempts because it was so misty and still obviously very dark. But I found my way down there and found my way back all right. The mist's going away now and it's brightening up, but it's still raining off and on. But I've had a nice 2 nights here, really nice, or a nice, yeah, 2 nights, and a real chillaxing time. I read the paper from cover to cover. I meant to bring a book, but I forgot it. But I've got a DAB radio, so I've been listening to stuff on 4 Extra. I just finished listening to the Goons, actually. I thought I'd have a minute and listen to them. But it's been a very enjoyable couple of days here, and I'm looking forward to coming back sometime next year. They do have a Facebook page. I've no idea what it is, I don't do Facebook. And a website as well, Badgells Wood, and this is a great place to come along to. And the woods are really nice. So I'm going to get cleared up now, put the lavoo in the car, got to get that home and get it dry because it's soaking wet on the outside. It's actually really dry on the inside, which is pleased about. I did fab seal it, but I haven't used it very much to get it seasoned, and I can't put it up in my garden to season because our grass isn't wide enough. We've only got about a 10 foot, 11 foot wide garden, and that needs about 7 foot, I think, radius, and our grass is only about 5 foot wide. So it's not been properly seasoned, but it was dry inside both days. I just opened it up now and poured out some stuff I'd stored in there, and yeah, it's bone dry. So I'm pleased about that. The pegs I've got, I'm going to have to buy some beefier pegs because, like I said earlier on, there's just stone finders, and around here there's flint everywhere. You can't put a peg in more than a few inches. But I'll get some stronger pegs, and maybe I have to carry a little hammer with me or something. I don't ever carry an axe. I haven't got very good aim, so musician's fingers are a bit more valuable than a bit of chopped firewood. So I'll have to maybe have a little hammer of some sort to knock in some pegs if I can find some nice sturdy ones. So I'll get packed up, and when I get home I'll sort out and do a little extra clip about the tree huggers that I made. I'll see you then. Well, it's Saturday afternoon now. I come home Thursday afternoon from Badgells Wood and had to dry all the stuff out, including the straps. So they're all done now. And we're in the middle of Hurricane Brian, I think they're calling it. It's been alternately bright and sunny and absolutely lashing it down with rain and quite blustery. So I'm up here in the workshop in the old boatyard, and I've got the strops, one here, tied onto the prop, and as I said on the film the other day, I was in the merchant chandlers looking for some bits and pieces for the boat, and I spied these in the one of the boxes on the shelves, and they're 45mm internal diameter stainless steel rings that have been welded shut, so they're very strong. I don't know quite what they use them for on boats, but I imagine there's 101 uses for them. Certainly they caught my eye, and they were, I think, 96 pence each or something like that, plus VAT, and I thought that's worth a punt, because I knew I was going to go on the Tuesday to Badgells Wood, and I was originally going to use the straps and tie a knot in them and loop some paracord over them, and the knot actually holds, the paracord holds against the knot so it shouldn't slip. But I thought this is worth a go, and when I set up the hammock at Badgells, I'd had a trial the night before in here and had knew it would work, but I was going to do it a slightly different way. But when I got to Badgells, I realised that I could do it in the way I did it, but I couldn't recreate it on camera. As simple and straightforward as it is, I just couldn't get my head around it. Now, I'm not claiming this is my idea at all by any means, because basically it's used in all sorts of stuff, even the what they called the Polish Army sleeping bags, where the outer rolls into it all rolls into the pillowcase end, and then there's a couple of straps to draw it tight and pack it tight, and they've got the same sort of system on there, but one's sewn in and the other one is sewn in a little bit different, and it just goes through and pulls tight and cinches itself up. So it's absolutely not my idea, and I don't know if anyone else has done it used this sort of thing on their setup for Hammock, but certainly I think I'd like to share it with you because I think it's worth sharing. So I'll try and recreate the actual knot now. Well, it's not a knot, is it? Right, I'll get the camera set up and try and show you what I've done. And this isn't going to be easy either, I think. But basically, this is about 48mm wide piece of, I think it's a ratchet strap originally, I can't remember because I bought it a year or so ago from the wonderful little shop that sells everything in Dover called Stuff, and I think they were only about £1, so I just chopped it up into 2 lengths, and that's it basically, and tied a knot in one end to make a loop, a granny knot, and then this bit, like I say, I was going to tie a knot in it and then just hook the paracord over it, and that should have held it, I think. But anyway, this turned out much better. So I passed one loop through, starting to feel like Paul Daniels now, and then put the end back through, and then this one goes over like that, and then I pass it back through the bottom loop, the one that's originally through, so the back comes round and then back up and through ring number 1, and then through ring number 2 and back down through ring number 1, like that. And on the original I used one on each of them I used one of the wedges that I had made for clamping the rails onto the boat. I thought maybe because it's square it might help dig in to the strap and cinch it, make it tight better. But I've since found excuse me, that even a round piece of wood, this is a piece of privet I think from the garden, even a bit of round wood works just the same. I've just got to get it up so that I can still keep it in camera. Come on, that's it, keep going. It's actually quite quick to do, but it's going to go out of shot if I'm not adjusted it right. There we go. Now I'm leaning back on that, and that isn't moving anywhere. All it does is go round the back, up through the second ring, and then back through the first ring. But now I'm leaning back on this second ring, which you then hook your carabiner, as I've got carabiners on my it's one of those, I think it's a DD jungle hammock, and it's got carabiners like they use for climbing, so that hooks through there. And it also acts just like some people, actually I've seen some people, and they use just a ring, so they attach to one side of the ring to the tree hugger and the other side to the hammock, and that acts as the rain drip stop. And it works exactly like that at Badgells. That got soaking wet where the water and rain had run down through, and it just ran down there. Nothing went across onto the hammock. And that is as tight as you like, and it will hold itself tight. I make no claim for inventing this at all, because I'm sure it's been done before, but I've never knowingly seen it on a video. But I knew it would sort of work because it's used for cinching straps on the what do you call them, backpacks and things like that. But for £4 for the rings and £1 for the strap and a free bit of wood. My original thought was actually that I would loop round and under, and that would hold, because that's holding as well, that's cinching up as well. It's all self-locking. I hope that explains it and maybe gives someone else an idea, rather than going out and buying a load of expensive stuff. That you can do things relatively cheap. Funnily enough, because I've been following a lot of sailing and boat restoration videos, a lot of people moan about marine chandlers or ship's chandlers, because they say they're expensive. But I found these to be extremely cheap and effective, and also I did find a drain plug made of bronze for an absolute steal compared to what I've seen them on eBay and Amazon. On there they're sort of like about 25 to 30 quid, and I found this one £7.50, and I've got it now so I can tell everyone, but I've got to fit it of course, but it was an absolute bargain compared to what I was starting to prepare myself to buy. So I don't think that Sharpen and Wrights deserve the same reputation as other marine chandlers. From the back. So there was about 3 different ways of doing this, and all of them work extremely well. So I'm going to be doing some more hammock camping. I can see it. Well, that wraps up the Badgells wood trip. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I hope you found that the tree hugger hammock hanging system was interesting, and I've had a fantastic time there. Nice, quiet, peaceful, in the middle of the woods. Never saw a soul until I went out walking round to the office, and even sitting there in the rain was lovely, and I enjoyed me first ever real trip out hammock camping, and I achieved some firsts there. I'd never done a diamond configuration setup before, never set up the hammock like that. I made a frame at home and I had some strops and things like that, so it was a bit artificial compared to what I was doing there, and it all worked really well once I got the problem sorted out with the setting the heights of the ends of the hammock. Yeah, it was good. It was really good. So I'll say thanks for watching, thanks for your comments and your subscriptions, and I'll see you next time up the woods or in the boatyard. Cheerio.